between these countries at the moment.
Matthew, let's listen into Ambassador Churkin of Russia.
Of American heavy-handedness as we're witnessing today. As I was talking in the Security Council, sharing our analysis and frustration of the situation of Syria, Ambassador Power chose to talk to you. The only thing her deputy had to say in response to my comments was that the U.S. is investigating what has happened at Deir ez-Zor. As Ambassador Power walked in, first thing she said, she was not interested in what I have to say, because what I was saying is a stunt. So there is no point in my listening to Ambassador Power. So I decided to leave the room. My delegation is there, and to share my reflections with you. In fact, this is a very serious concern that we wanted and we did share today with the members of the Security Council. As you know, we convened the consultations of the Security Council because the United States has bombed the Syrian armed forces in Deir ez-Zor. And Deir ez-Zor, of course, is one of the most important symbols of resistance against ISIL, because it has been besieged by ISIL for a very long time, for a couple of years. The Syrian armed forces suffered serious casualties, over 60 soldiers killed, over 100 soldiers injured, and there is a threat of ISIL advancing on Deir ez-Zor. Fortunately, our air forces, Russian air forces, were able to come to the assistance of the Syrian armed forces, so we hope this tragedy of ISIL taking Deir ez-Zor is not going to happen. Having conducted this airstrike, the United States has violated two of its commitments. One is the commitment to cessation of hostilities, which the United States undertook together with us in February, and which we reconfirmed just a few days ago. And the other is the commitment the United States gave to the government of Syria when the United States started its air campaign 2 years ago. The United States promised to the Syrian government that their airstrikes are not going to affect the position of the Syrian armed forces. That did not put the United States fully in line with the international law, because they did not receive the consent of the Syrian government, but the fact that the United States committed not to strike the position of the Syrian government created certain conditions for continued cooperation with the United States politically and on a number of practical aspects of the situation in Syria. It is quite significant and frankly suspicious that the United States chose to conduct this particular airstrike at this time. Why would all of a sudden the United States choose to help the Syrian armed forces defending Deir ez-Zor? After all, they did nothing when ISIL was advancing on Palmyra. ISIL made a 100-mile march without being attacked by the coalition. All of a sudden, the United States decides to come to the assistance of the Syrian armed forces defending Deir ez-Zor. It is quite significant, and I would suggest not accidental, that this happened just 2 days before the arrangements, Russian-American arrangement, were supposed to come into force. The arrangements we have been negotiating with the United States for a long time. As you know, after lengthy negotiations on the 9th of December, Foreign Minister Lavrov and Secretary Kerry concluded an agreement on September 9, which actually put in force a number of agreements which they had negotiated over the period of the previous 2 months. For reasons we cannot fully understand, the United States did not agree to share with you, or even with the members of the Security Council, the text of those documents. But
there you have it. We will continue to monitor what is happening tonight. A remarkable night at the United Nations. There you have Vitaly Churkin, the Russian ambassador to the United Nations, calling it, quote, suspicious that the U.S. carried out this airstrike in Syria, killing Syrian regime forces at this time, calling the timing of it not accidental, responding to U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Samantha Power, calling Russia's response a stunt and grandstanding. Much more of this ahead, and full coverage on CNN.com. I would point you there. Straight ahead for us here tonight, President Obama and Hillary Clinton set to address the Congressional Black Caucus dinner. My colleague and friend Don Lemon anchors our special coverage of their remarks in just a moment. I'm Poppy Harlow. Stay right here.